Good morning, this is Jeff with Sewer Tech Northwest. We were at 5940 Northeast 60th Avenue. And I apologize, I know that the middle building over here is 5936. I'm going to describe this in general as if you're standing out in the street facing into the property. This is the far left unit. I'll try and get the address number here at some point. Yeah, we're starting out on the far left side unit, going through the 3-inch cast iron roof vent. Check the overall condition and serviceability of the sanitary sewer line. Water's running. We'll zero out once we get down to the bottom of this. Alright, and then into ABS plastic, which I'm hoping is a preamble for what we have to come here. I was hoping this has been updated. Great. And so this unit has one main roof vent on it. The others look about the same. That generally indicates that your lines are going to be interconnected underneath the floor. Generally when for instance, a duplex, if it has two completely individualized sewer lines, you're going to have a main roof vent on both houses, or both units. In this case, you've got a 3-inch and then a smaller 2-inch vent on the other side. That's at least how it went back in the olden days. Newer stuff doesn't really work that way. But. And some standing water here for a minute. See how this stuff drains out here at the end. I'm running a bathtub right now, which puts a fair amount of water down the line. You certainly have a belly there. The bathtub just exaggerates the standing water. But I would, most likely you're going to probably have about 1 inch of water left over there. The plus side, I'm not seeing anything in the way of buildup, which is promising. Bellies, especially in plastic pipe, smooth plastic pipe, do not guarantee blockages will happen. It does make it more likely, because you've got standing water that can catch debris as it comes down line. I think right here we've got a clean out access tying in. I'm going to see if I can go locate this. Alright, so there is a clean out on it's outside, it's on the backyard side of the fence. This on the other side of the fence gate for the left side unit of this particular duplex. See that hunk of junk I'm pushing along there, kind of damming the pipe up. Sometimes you get stuff like that in front of the camera head and it looks like you've got a belly in the line until you drain the line out at the end. And we'll see what we had back behind us. It's possible it may not have been a belly, but if all these lines are interconnected together, in 13 years of doing this and almost 25,000 scopes, when you get these really long lines like this, they often will have some level of standing water in them. All right, it looks like we're coming up on a Y in here. That appears to be, I've got a little bit of sun glare on my screen right now, but that looks like we just hit a Y connection there. And from the looks of it, I think we're turning now to head out toward the roadway. Alright, yep, definitely heading towards the road. We just swapped over to 6-inch 3034 PVC. I'm going to go do a locate here in just a second. It's a small miracle we've made it this far from a roof vent. And what I generally focus on is the stuff that falls into homeowners' responsibility. As long as we're out past the curb, we've covered the main important stuff. All right, I'm gonna go locate here. Alrighty. Picked the magical place to stop there. We stopped right at the curb. Amazing. And so where I picked that locate up here, if you stand where I was just at and turn around and face back into the property, I'm staring right at the middle building and right at the middle of the middle building. So this line looks like it pops out the left side of this unit, or this building, or the duplex here, heads into the parking lot, and then turns to straighten out and shoot off to the road. And so water flow is going to be a rather tricky thing in these places to get 100% drained off. There's a lot of units in here. It's very hard to have control over the water flow. So generally speaking on these, I tend to look at these a little bit gentler than the average sewer line. For that very reason, you have to have just a very particular setup in order to have perfectly ideal conditions. Have everything completely drained out. It's very hard to do. Not unless they're all vacant. Now, because of how complicated these things are, I generally speaking tend to lead more times maintenance cleaning than just repairing every single belly in these things, because there's so much interconnected pipe. It's very complicated. So I'm going to probably have to go back and do some reviewing at home of just the different areas of standing water. Standing water this far from the building is not something I'm terribly concerned about as it relates to the likelihood of causing a blockage and a backup. You had a little bit of debris out there, but you can see the lines coming back behind it. We don't have a bunch of stuff stuck at the top of the pipe, sidewalls, and these lines are getting put to a pretty good test all the time. So the spot I'm the most concerned about is the standing water that's close in proximity, and in general, that's these days, after doing as many scopes as I have and lots of drain cleaning over the years, the bellies that are the most likely ones to cause issues are the ones that are close in, because if they block, you don't get, like you had out there, that belly that was out 100 feet out, you have a lot of head pressure that builds up when you start filling up a line for 100 feet. It's a lot of water weight. And there are very few blockages that can withstand that kind of head pressure unless it's a bunch of improper items like paper towels. And if you're plugging a line up that effectively with paper towels, you're likely to plug the line up before you even get there. So that's my 2 cents on it. That's just after doing a lot of these over the years, and you can see how clean this line is. You've got some buildup in a couple spots in the line, but a lot of this is very clean, especially considering it's multi-family. And right here, the line bumps out to 4-inch pipe. That clean out there is just on the other side of the fence, just off that left side part of the duplex. All right, we're gonna come back in here and see how this spot in the line's looking where we had some standing water. Okay, so it dissipates off here at about 30, somewhere around 35 feet. And this might be underneath the home here, or the building, in which case it's not something I can really locate and get you an idea. Alright, so if you go just outside, it's basically straight away from the front left corner of this duplex. A couple feet away from that corner, going out the left side, you'll see there's actually the top of the clean out's been cut off there. Someone probably hit it with a weed whacker or lawnmower. Clean out's right there. And the belly that we have here is underneath the home. This line's passing from right to left, right through the building. So the belly you're working with here has got about 1 inch of standing water in it. It's right at that point where I start to recommend repairs. It's about that point, regular old toilet paper starts to hang up in the line, not just improper stuff like wipes and paper towels. And the belly here runs from about, let's see, about 23 feet to about 35 feet. So pretty much all of that should be situated in that left side unit. And that's the kind you got to get under the house and adjust the grading of the pipe underneath the home. So depending on how the pipe is supported, sometimes it's resting on the ground, sometimes it's supported in the air by straps, and those are often some of the easier ones to correct. Sometimes strapping stretches over time, causing the line to sag. Anyway, still a functioning sewer line. The belly there does put it at a higher likelihood for blockages to occur just because standing water can slow debris down and or cause it to stop. Especially improper stuff. Improper items I include in the category being like paper towels, wipes, flushable wipes, balled up toilet paper, stuff that does not easily disintegrate or does not disintegrate at all. That's the stuff that especially has a problem getting through a belly. Grease, cooking oil, stuff like that. So, for the most part, I'm not seeing tons of buildup in here. Stuff is still conveying through, but anytime I get an inch of water like that at close proximity to the home, it's a situation where I'm going to recommend a fix on it. If the line's not repaired, I would probably rescope it at about 1 year, especially if all the renters change out. The renters living in here right now are doing a good job of keeping the line clean, but it doesn't always remain that way, depending on who you've got living in these places. So, it's worth at least keeping an eye on it. Anyhow, line is functioning out this time. I didn't see any pipe that's broken, busted, or anything of the sort. There is some settled pipe. The standing water that's all beyond the house is too far out and too minor, in my opinion. The combination of those two things to require repairs. The risk for blocking and backing up from those distances is low. And when you're out, not that you should abuse the line, but those areas can handle more abuse just because of head pressure. Stuff starts, you get a lot of water weight building up behind things. That's if you get enough stuff in there to even cause a blockage there. As it sits right now, I always think it's a good idea. We'll see how the rest of these lines look, but at the time of taking ownership, it's always a nice thing to clean these things out, jet them out. That way, upon rescope in a year, any buildup you do see, is from these renters in that scenario, not from the past. It just makes it easier to kind of calculate how things are humming along here. As it sits right now, though, the line is not in dire need of cleaning. It's just from the standpoint of getting it cleaned out, so you get a better assessment when you go to rescope in time for some of these lines that have some imperfections in them. But none of them rise to the level of severe, in my opinion. I've mentioned it before. I've done 25,000 scopes, tons and tons of drain cleaning. At the inch of standing water mark is where I start to recommend repairs. Once you start to get outside the confines of the home or a little bit away from the footprint of the house, an inch of standing water does not do a ton to affect functionality, at least pose a high risk for blocking anyway.